Okay. Okay, nawala na sa isip ko. Please turn on your cameras for our attendance today. How about the others? Yun. Wow, after ilang months akong nawala. After a month, nakita ko ulit kayo. Who's excited for face-to-face though? May excited na. Yun. Good. Mas magandang pumasok. For me. For me, ah. Though I'll be honest that nakaka-feel ako na anxiousness. But yeah, I'm excited also to meet you in person, guys. Hopefully, kung andito pa ako. So, ayan. Please turn on your cameras. Marjeline, Abigail, and then Cristobal, Prince. So, sa mga walang camera, sige. Okay na yan. Excuse me. Okay, I think we're complete. In 3, 2, 1. Smile. Another one. 3, 2, 1. Smile. Okay, thank you guys. That will be our attendance for today. Okay, let's make this quick. I'm gonna share my screen. And where is it? Okay, our topic for today is about, okay, let me just minimize this. Uploading the controls. All right, 11%. Hide this. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, welcome back, class. So today is our discussion about public plaza, your major plate, first major plate, first and last major plate in finals. So I am Architect Argel Vicalanday, in case you forgot me. So yeah, welcome to Design 4 Finals. So what is public plaza? Anyone have guess? Sino nakakaalam, may background about public plaza? Any volunteer? May volunteer tayo dyan? Public plaza. Anong space, or ano yung function ng public plaza? Let's start with, do you want me guys to call? With Axel. Any rough idea? Wala namang may sagot.
Pang hangout po ng friends or family.
Yes, a space for hanging out. Space for interaction, correct? How about anime? Korean? I think you
Sir, ano po?
Yes.
Sir, ano po? Parang park po ganun. For Or public po, ganun.
Public parks. Yes, that's also correct. And last, how about yung mga hindi ko kilala dito? How about sa mga naka-off ng camera? How about Luis Andre?
Hello po. Sir, pang ano po, sa paglilibot po ng kasama yung mga kaibigan, tapos yung mga street foods din po, ganun.
Space for being with friends, hanging out place, parang ganun din. And the space for
Sa
street food. Yes. Yes, that's the usual. Anyway, ganun sa if you've been to Freedom Park, sa Kabanatuan, yeah, daming street food doon. So that really has an impact. Street food. Okay. So let's see what is public plaza. But in today's presentation, we will discuss the following. So introduction to public plaza, what makes a good public plaza, evaluation of metrics. It means how a good plaza is distinguished from the bad ones. How to maximize the potential positive. Okay, bumilipat. Potential positive impacts of pedestrian plaza, and some case studies that we can look into sa discussion natin. Anyway, this floating meeting control is annoying though. Okay, so introduction. So what is a public plaza? It's a space such as parks and green spaces that provides opportunities for increased physical activity behaviors such as playing sports and walking. It is an urban space that is an important place where people can join together to create an atmosphere and identity of community beyond the home. And the third one is it is a venue for chance encounters that can strengthen community bonds. So that is the main use of a public plaza. It is a common space in a community where everyone can gather and create bonds. Yeah. Next, history of public plaza in the Philippines. So if you are familiar with Filipino architecture, back then, public spaces in the Philippines are called plazas, public squares, or market. So it's what Luis kanina, tama ba yung pangalan niya, have said. So talagang nagkaroon ng impact yung mga vendors, no? So back then kasi, public plazas are also a marketplace in the Philippines. So usually, public plazas are always located near the buildings or structures of importance such as a church or a government hall. So always yan. So sa isang community, sa isang community planning ng Philippines, it was always in the center. Yung tatlo na yun, civic, yung government hall, church, and then the plaza. So for decades, these places have been used for political demonstrations, rallies, and urban greening. So, yeah. So, what is a public plaza in the 21st century? So, it depends on how we use these spaces. But up to this date, since social media had been heavily used, no, our plazas and also the pandemic have strike in the Philippines, our public plaza has parang nawala na ng use. So what was once promenade for the wealthy, well-dressed is now underused, empty, and socially unsustainable. So I have a question for everyone. So since this was an open topic, it was a study like right now, no? How can, as an architect or you as a future designer, design uh, a modern public plaza that can cater to this generation, because as you can see, yung public plazas now are underused na siya, especially in the Manila. If you've been in the Manila, yung mga public plaza nila doon is used as mainly as parking na lang, parking area, and talagang pinapamugaran na ng mga vendor. Hindi na na-appreciate yung landmarks and significance ng place. So, as an architect, how can you design a public plaza that can cater to this generation? Any volunteer?
Permission to speak po.
Yes, Marbigel, do you have any idea?
Para po sa akin, siguro we should integrate technology po sa public plaza natin. Diba? Ngayon po, meron ng Wi-Fi, free public Wi-Fi sa plaza. Tapos, pwede din pong charging stations, gano'n. Pwedeng, basta something related to technology na po na ma-attract yung mga teenagers po.
Yes. That's a good idea. Kasi in the Singapore ata, or in other countries na lang in general, they have been using, meron silang public Wi-Fi for everyone. Tapos ang bilis pa ng speed. So that would be really nice na magkaroon ng free public Wi-Fi in the plaza so that anyone can use the public plaza and utilize it. Yeah, that's a good idea. How about the others? Do you have any idea? Any idea what we'll do? Wala namang maling idea. How about Christine Malubang? Do you have any idea?
Ano po, sir? Something na basta related din po sa technology eh. Parang doon na po kasi umiikot yung buhay ng mga teenagers ngayon.
Sir, permission to speak po.
Yes. Sino siya? State your name, please.
Nelmark po, sir.
Oy,
Sir,
Nelmark.
ang idea ko po, sir, since kanina po sinabi natin na yung public plaza po is to increase physical activities, and napansin ko po kasi, kailan lang po kasi lumabas marami pong mga nagbabike ngayon, and yun din po yung parang pwede nating i-incorporate sa design na some place na pwedeng mag-bike yung mga kabataan or skateboard, kasi yun din po yung napansin ko na parang walang ganong skateboard dito or ganun. Parang mas marami po kasing kabataan na ginaganon. Yun po, parang yun din po yung parang isa sa main reason na sa design po natin. Yung naisip ko.
Yes, pwede to incorporate other physical activities is a good idea. No? Okay, thank you for the great ideas. No, so you can also apply that in your design as well sa magiging plate natin. So yun lang. So next tayo. Okay, lumipat, bumalik. So, yun. Wala natin. Okay. So residents' behavior can affect the use of public spaces such as plazas and parks. So, literally, it will act. Since ang public plazas are used for gathering, it will be the second home for the community. So residents' behavior can affect the use of public spaces. That's why in Manila, when you go to the Manila, ang public plaza ngayon is nade-develop na unti-unti. Pero some of the parts in the Manila, they are like parang abandoned. Some plazas in the Manila parang ginagawa na nila ng parang nagkakaroon na ng mga graffiti arts in the statue. So all was not maintained. So it can affect talaga the status of the plazas and parks. So COSARI 2014 found that perceived crime, traffic, and aesthetics are associated with greater public use of this space. So kung gaano kadami yung gumagamit ng space, of course, yun din yung nagiging parang setback dun sa place. Since it's a free space for all, na ginagamit lang siya pero hindi naman siya napapangalagaan. So, yun yung nangyayari. So, wait lang. Sawitsky 2016 indicated that the architectural quality of a plaza has a strong positive influence on the perception and usage of public space. So architecture talaga can affect the use of a certain space. If you're going to design a public space tapos hindi naman aesthetically pleasing, would that attract the users in that space? Of course not, diba? So architectural quality, ano yung tinatawag nitong architectural quality ni Zawitsky? So architectural quality reflects the culture of the place. So kung mapapansin nyo, here in Cabanatuan na lang, no? Since that time na we are invaded by the Spaniards, the architectural style, kung mapapansin nyo, yung architectural style ng City Hall, ng churches are all Spanish architecture. Parang na-influensya ng Spanish architecture. So ngayon, nung dinevelop yung Freedom Park, parang lumayo na parang naging modernized na kasi siya. So for me, parang lumayo na siya sa character nung mga building. Parang naiwan na yung mga ibang building. So if you're going to redevelop something, dapat natatouch niya pa rin yung history and culture ng isang place. So yun yung architectural quality. So what makes a good public plaza? So according to William H. White, so he's a photographer. So uses time-lapse photography to examine street life and pedestrian behavior in New York City and other major cities. He argues that mixed uses for spaces are often the most critical aspect of successful plazas. So if you're going to design a space, especially a public space, often dapat yung space na yun can be used multifunctionally. So dapat nakikater niya lahat ng needs ng community into that space. So for example, if that community can hold events for their community, like ano ba mga events natin, like ano ba, like for example mga programs ng barangay, like community pantry, ganon, and whatnot, or community basta like mga events, then your plaza can host that. So most successful spaces or successful plazas have that one design consideration, that it can be multi-purposely used. So he emphasizes the desire for multifunctional spaces rather than those designed to be used only once or twice a year. Public plazas can be a place for social interaction, bringing people together over a shared experience. So have you seen street magicians? Nakakita na kayo street magicians in videos? Sino na nakakita ng street magicians in videos? So, di ba, ang galing nila when they performed in the street, a lot of people gather around them. Diba? They attract attention. So ganun din yung dapat na role ng public plaza in a community. They attract the people around it. And then, when they have attracted the people around that plaza, what happens? They will have that shared experience. Na kahit na hindi nila pinag-uusapan, for example, si guest A at saka si guest B, nanonood sila ng magic show. And then, they are both amazed. And then, that's what we call a shared experience because they are both amazed to the street magician. So, ganun din dapat ang maging function ng public plaza. Okay? If your public plaza caters healthy living for all, kumbaga yun yung naging theme nyo or tema ng public plaza niyo, dapat yun yung napapa-experience nyo sa users nyo. For example, ayun na nga. This can be seen in most city centers when a street performer puts on a show or an art installation with a video or light feature that draws people into a space. So, yun. Free social slots or public spaces are becoming fewer and fewer as people turn more often inward to their home spaces. Since the boom of internet, social media, a lot of people, and of course pandemic hit, a lot of people always turn na lang dun sa bahay nila instead of going out. So nasanay na tayo doon. But here in the new normal era, where you have to go out na din in your own houses, parang ang hirap na because we get much comfortable sa bahay lang, di ba? Doon na tayo nasanay. So, fewer people now use these kind of spaces. So, Ray Oldenburg highlights the need for third places, areas. He describes this as public spaces free of charge with opportunities for social interaction. So, kailangan pa rin natin ng social interaction in our life. It's a need pa rin for us. So, hindi mo masasabi na you are healthy if you are mostly at your own homes and then spending time sa So, kailangan natin ng third place, as in another place for social interaction. Because as humans, we need also, or we crave also social interaction. That's why in this pandemic, di ba, naranasan nyo depression, anxiety, and many more problems mentally. Because yung isang need natin for social interaction is gone. So anyone can reap the benefits of pedestrian plazas since they do not cost anything to the users. So yun. So pedestrian plazas or public plazas are free of charge. That's why this will be a challenge for everyone. So how can you maintain, or paano ma-preserve as designers, no? Ano yung magiging plan ninyo para yung plaza nyo is magamit and ma-preserve at the same time? So pedestrian plazas can help the environment and citizens' health and lessen congestion by getting people out of their cars. So walkability, it's the concept of walkability. It was practiced in the New York City. So sa isang case study na nabasa ko, which we will be discussing there later, New York City, the Department of Transportation in the New York City, parang nag-implement sila ng program in which yung streets na dating mga daanan ng sasakyan, they turned it into plaza. So they promote walkability among the community. So improves the environment, number one, and citizens' health, the number two. So they can also reimagine streets as community building spaces. So, how would a community be built? Paano ba nabubuo ang isang community? Anyone have an idea? Paano nabubuo ang isang community? Mukhang walang may idea. How about Gil? Do you have any idea? Paano nabubuo ang isang community?
Sa may existence po sir, narinig po ba ako?
Yes.
Ano po, yung iba't iba pong ano po ng tao, parang
Society or culture?
Apa. Iba't iba pong
Yes.
culture ko rin po. May isa
Yes.
pong culture ko rin.
Yes. Same belief, vision, parang ganun yung sinasabi mo, Gil. So that's correct. So if the people have the same belief, same vision, then dun na nabubuo yung, or meron silang isang shared experience, dun na nabubuo yung isang community. So the ability of an ideal public space to bring the community together is found throughout the literature. So yun. By using public spaces. So plazas thrive when located in areas that already have high levels of foot traffic, have high density, and are open and accessible. So usually, it was always located at the center of the city because at the center, dun sure na merong high levels of foot traffic and have high density of people. So this emphasis on a mixed-use environment makes sense when Radziwiłł sees the creation of institution happening at the street level. So yun. People who live in walkable neighborhoods have higher social capital, a broad term that describes the quality of one's networks of relationships. So that's why one of the author kanina sinabi na kailangan ng third space for a community because it will be one of the building blocks of community building. So in a study, they have found out that walkable neighborhoods, people have higher social capital. When we say social capital, they are madaming kakilala sa layman's term. Madaming kakilala, madaming network, social network in a community. Both Leiden and Semenza, which is also an author of a book, link the improvement of the walking environment or a place-making enhancement to increase well-being. So a walking environment, or imagine nga di ba? When you are hiking nga lang di ba, you feel good after you hike, or you feel good after a long walk from nature. Di ba, you feel good, nawawala yung stress. So ganun yung role din ng public plaza. It increases the well-being of the people. Hindi lang siya nag-act also as a space for social interaction, community building, etc. Okay, evaluation of metrics. So on to the next topic, a public space index. So great public space must be responsive to the public's needs, democratic in its accessibility, and meaningful. Responsive to the public's needs. Ano ba in general yung kailangan ng tao in a public space? Is it for them to have social interaction or all of that? So you can always extract all those information into your design. Paano mo siya ipaplan? And anong mga spaces ang ilalagay mo sa public space mo? Public's need. So it's the same when you are planning something, di ba? That's why sa actual experience, being an architect, you have to meet your client first before you draft. You draft a plan. Democratic in its accessibility. What does this mean? What does this mean, guys? Democratic responsibility, democratic accessibility. Can I call Winstar?
Hello po, sir.
What does democratic in its accessibility means?
Parang yung malaya po sila, parang ganun po, na ma-access nila yung space.
Correct. Tama. So, ibig sabihin, open for public. And meaningful. Paano nyo magagawang meaningful ang isang space? How can you create a space that is meaningful for everyone? Let's call another one. Help me out in this one. Kasi ako din hindi ko alam eh. How about Princess Hanakin? Manuel, are you there?
Yes po, sir.
Yun. The question is, how can you make a space meaningful?
Meaningful po. Lahat, po, may access po yung yung mga tao. Parang po.
Yes, have access. That is one of the factors. A great factor of a public space has an access open for all. But how can you make it meaningful? Sa date nga, di ba? For example, you're going to surprise your girlfriend and you ask her for dinner. What would you do to make that event special? How can you make the space meaningful for both of you? Follow-up question. Siguro sa guys. So let's call another one. Sino yung may girlfriend dito? Yun yung tawagin natin.
Sir, si Zane.
Okay, si Zane daw. How can you make the space much more romantic for your girlfriend or meaningful? If you ask her out, kuwari magdi-dinner kayo beside kuwari nasa beach side yung scenario. How can you make the space more meaningful? Did you ask her out loud and hang out in the beach and mag-holding hands? How can you make the space much more romantic?
Kaya po siguro parang sumagot na po ako nila eh.
Okay lang yan. Yan talagang buhay.
Wala naman po akong jowa, sir.
Sige na. So, based from kung wala kang girlfriend, for example, it's your mother's birthday. And then the scenery is in the beach side. How can you make her birthday much special?
Parang po? Paano ba? Parang dinner date po sana, ganun. Parang mas
Yes.
maganda po.
dinner date, or you're going to, of course, first decorate the area. So that's how architects make a place more meaningful. We design spaces. So based from the public needs, based from the public needs, kung ano yung mga kailangan ng tao, we design it for them, translated into a space. So that's how we create meaningful spaces. Ganun din sa public plaza. When we know the public's needs, then we translate it in a space where they can use it much more efficiently because it's according to what they are needing at that time of the moment. So according to Vikas Mehta, who has created a public space index to evaluate the value of urban public space, there are 5 dimensions. The first is inclusiveness. Inclusiveness is like democratic in its accessibility. So open for all, but it shares a commonality between the space and the community itself. That's why it's inclusive. Meaningfulness, provided that it reflects rich history of the space. That's why it's meaningful. That's why for example, again, wala kasi ako may example na common. Dun sa Freedom Park, diba? They have created parang statue for General Antonio Luna. Sorry, I forgot the hero, but they created a memorial there for him. So in that way, it commemorates the heroism of that person. So that's how they create meaningful spaces. The safety, of course, even though it's open for all people, syempre, you have to consider the safety of them also while using your space, especially catering to the needs of the PWD. Comfort and pleasurability. Okay, comfort and pleasurability is both when you provide amenities or amenities for them, then na according pa rin dun sa mga kailangan nila, then it would be a great space for them. Next style. Okay, next topic, how to maximize the potential positive impact of pedestrian plaza. So there are 4 things. First one is you have to pay attention to the placement of your plaza. So basahin natin. Plaza placement is critical to the success of pedestrian plazas in cities like New York City and San Francisco. Plazas should be placed in areas where people want to spend time even when an event or program is not taking place and should be considered for cleanliness. So what does this mean? Sabi dito, plaza placement is critical to the success of pedestrian plazas. What does placement means? Is it maglagay ka lang ng space dito for plaza? Pupuntahan na yan for sure. Is it just like that? Maglagay ka lang dito sa sa terminal ng plaza. Malapit sa terminal ng jeep ng papuntang whatnot place. Is that what we call placement? Good placement? What's your opinion about that, John Resty? John Resty, are you there? John Resty, hello. So good placement of plaza is very critical. So pay attention to saan nyo ilolocate ang space? Would it be really utilized in that space, or it won't, or it will be a flop? So always do your feasibility studies first. Understand the importance of local or ownership and stewardship. So can anyone please read the second paragraph under that? Can I call someone? How about Justin Jacinto? Are you there?
No.
Can you please read the second topic or the second bullet?
Understand the importance of local ownership and stewardship. Community engagement and outreach are critical to understand where the need, desire, and support exist for Plaza. Plaza are more likely to succeed in open and existing neighborhoods. Residents feel ownership over the space and want to see it grow as community resource.
Yun. So, sabi dito, community engagement and outreach are critical. So, to understanding the needs and desire and support exists for Plaza. What does that mean? Community engagement and outreach. So of course, the needs, the desires of the community is reflected kung yung community will be using that space. So community engagement and outreach. They are the higher the engagement of that place. So parang ano lang yan sa social media, di ba? The higher na maraming likes, maraming shares yung isang post, mataas yung engagement, right? So ganun din yung Plaza. So Plaza, successful Plaza or good designed plazas have high engagement towards the community who will be using it. So it will be used repeatedly by the community. Hindi siya ma-abandon. Hindi siya magiging unmaintained. Once the residents or the community behind that experience ownership over that space, the community will start to use that space as a community resource. Kumbaga doon na nabibuild yung unti-unti. That's why culture, as we have discussed like last time, kanina, is very important in community building. So once that space is used for social interaction repeatedly, the people around the community will start to have that culture. And when they establish a good culture around that space, then what will happen? What will happen? What would happen if that? What would happen if nag-start mag-grow yung isang community? Of course, the plaza will grow with them also. Okay. Next slide tayo. Bumalik. Learn from others. So how to maximize the potential positive impact of pedestrian plaza? The first one as a review is placement. Number 2 is the engagement. Number 3 is learning from others. So if there is an existing plaza na successful na siya, do the communities need to change their style or how they plan the public plaza? If I'm going to ask you guys, would you change what is successful, or will you plan a plaza that is basing from you? kung kayo yung magde-design ng plaza. Let's call on... Parang wala nang nag-open ng camera nung nagtatawag ako. Marzan, are you there? Jermaine?
Sir?
Kung ikaw yung tatanungin, would you change an existing example of successful plaza tapos i-adapt mo sa city mo, or would you design it basing from yourself? Ba? Parang parang applicable din to sa mga designs natin. Halimbawa, nakakita kayo ng structure. Ganito yung uso ngayon. This will work. Tapos...
Para sa akin po, sir,
sige
kasi
lang.
po yung parang ihalimbawa ko po yung public plaza po namin dito sa Lubao. As an artist student, parang hindi po ako ganun ka-satisfied sa ayos po niya, and kung bibigyan man po ako ng pagkakataon para ayusin po yun, ayun po, gusto ko pong well-organized po sana, kasi po para po sa akin magulo po yung pagkaka-assemble po ng mga buildings, mga structures, yun po. Hindi po kasi well-organized.
Thank you, Jermaine. And mukhang nag-ML ka ya. Naririnig ko may namamatay.
Sa kapatid ko po yun, sir.
Ako nag-ML ka eh. Magsasali kayo Char. So, ganun, no? So, let's get back from the topic. So, sabi dito ni Brian O, he writes that aspiring cities should look at other cities' successful pedestrian plaza. Sabi niya, there is no need to reinvent the wheel, he says. But other towns have well-established models that can follow and modify. So sabi niya, hindi naman natin need to completely copy what is successful from that. We can always modify them to suit the needs of their city. What is the current need of that city? So that's the role also of a feasibility study. So you can always make a basis from those other successful plaza. Gawin nyo lang siyang template. Pero you have to still modify, you still have to make a study para mas-suit or maging perfectly tailored yung design niyo for that city. So you can always modify and follow what is needed. So next, streamline and collaborate is number 4. So cities should always look for ways to streamline the application process for community partners. A written application outlining community partner step will help answer many common questions. So it's just that community or government buildings, pagka ginagamit natin, there are always many permits, kailangan natin ng paperworks and whatnot. Ganun nabubuhay yung government natin function more on documents. So kung gagamitin natin ang public plaza, why not make it less hassle for those additional permit para lang makapag-hold ng event. So yun lang yung isa sa mga magandang gawin natin. So why not put on an extension office in that public plaza so that everyone can easily apply their permits. Hindi na sila pupunta pa ng iba't ibang lugar just to get the permit that they needed. Diba? So yun lang. So streamline the process, make it more simple, and collaborate with different city departments as well. Next tayo. So we move on to this case study, Plaza Program NYC and USA. So it was located in New York City, USA. And yeah, the context of it is mixed use, or the community around the plaza is mixed use. It's a combination of residential and commercial, and the funding is through the public and private entities. So the overview So, kwento ko na lang sa inyo. No? So, itong Plaza program na to, it was part of the DOT's plan of New York City para i-convert yung mga existing cities existing streets to a public walkable plaza. So as you can see from the picture, wait lang, i-hide ko lang to. As you can see from the picture, no, we have here the before. Ito dati yung streets ng New York City. And then the after they have implemented the Plaza program. Next tayo. So the key elements in the planning of the New York City Plaza program is to enhance the pedestrian space, maximizing comfort and active uses. Furniture. Dapat maraming furniture or seating spaces for the people since they will be walking. Wala nang means of transportation. Walkability talaga yung area. But here in the Philippines, let me just ask you a hypothetical question. If you're going to implement the walkability of the community here in, let's say, Cabanatuan or in your community, kung i-implement nyo yung Plaza program dyan sa lugar ninyo, how would you design your streets? How would you design your streets? Let's call from one of you guys. How about si Mark Angelo Tolentino?
Sir, naririnig po ba ako?
Yes.
Para sa akin po ay yung dito po kasi sa Cabanatuan pa is madalas po pinupuntahan is yung sa Freedom po. And na-renovate na rin po siya. And para po sa akin, maayos naman po siya na nadagdag po yung mga furnitures, benches, and yung accessibility niyo po niya is mas na-enhance kesa sa dati po. So para sa akin, wala na po akong dadagdag.
Okay? But dito nga sa sinasabi ko, yung Plaza program is, ang aim natin is, kumari, sa community nyo, yung streets before na dinadaanan ng mga kotse, mga sasakyan, if you would convert them into a public space like this one, how would you design your streets?
Para po sa akin, I would mas papalakihin ko po yung open space po kasi po dito po sa area is mas kukulangan po ako ng mga walkability dahil po sa traffic and hindi rin po nagagamit for ibang use. Ganun po.
Okay, so basically, lalakihan mo lang yung daan. But how about kasi di ba, for example, if we're going to implement the Plaza program here in our for example, Cabanatuan, kung gagawin nating walkable siya, what would be the experience, lalo na kapag ganitong summer?
If mas lalakihan po yung space niya and walkable, mas madami pong pupunta, mas madami pong ma-attract na tao, mas madami pong activities na mas magagawa and mas madami din pong chance na magkaroon ng social interaction ng ibang tao and sa mismong city po.
Yes, correct. So there will be an increase in social interaction. That's correct. Tapos, of course, magiging lively na yung street natin and of course, magiging friendly na yung sa environment natin. But did you notice here in Cabanatuan, wala tayong public plaza na like yung parang kulang yung mga green spaces natin, di ba? Parang puro building lang. So kung i-implement natin siya, for me, as an architect, siguro ang gagawin ko is more covered pathwalks. Kasi mainit pag tanghali, ganun. And yeah. And more green, hanging plants would be really nice too. So that since kulang nga tayo sa green spaces here in Cabanatuan, we should maximize putting on green spaces, diba? And yeah, let's proceed to the third one, extended areas for open air activities. So so more on open air activities are implemented here sa New York City. That's why gusto nila ng ganitong setup. So mamaya makikita nyo yung effect niya sa tao. So sa goals niya is create pedestrian destination, improve walkability, improve access to transit, enhance vehicular and pedestrian safety, support local development and build community partnerships, and preserve and promote neighborhood character. So yun yung goals nila, bakit nila need i-transform. So of course, meron yung cons and pros. Yung cons niyan is of course magrereklamo yung mga small taxi owners, di ba? So mawalan sila ng trabaho. Pero ang pros naman nun is magkakaroon ng safety, vehicular and pedestrian safety, and mag-i-improve yung health ng tao doon since they're going to be walking it's a form of exercise din. So it promotes the overall well-being of the community. So ano yung mga nag-gather nilang data when they have implemented the Plaza program? So it's a measure to provide amenities that support social gatherings. So nagkaroon sila ng additional space for social gathering. Nagkaroon ng sense of place. So since nagkaroon ng mas mataong space, nagkaroon ng sense of place mas na-utilize ng tao yung space na yun, mas malaki yung space. So nagkaroon sila ng parang another third space in their community, which we have discussed kanina, and enhance pedestrian movement and safety. So wala nang nagkakaroon ng accidents masyado. It supports the changes since yung Plaza program is an interim design or plan of the DOT. So unti-unti nilang maipopromote yung sense of place na yun sa mga tao since habang nagagamit yung space, they also collect the data. So kung ano pa yung mga additional needs, additional demands sa spaces, so they can make another study about that, collect the data, and support or maybe implement the gathered data in the future use. So yun. So ganun yung how they implement public plaza projects in other countries. So interim. So sa una muna, maglalagay muna sila ng mga mga fake na grass, fake na halaman, and then they will notice kung magkakaroon ba ng engagement from the community, kung magagamit ba yun. And then, of course, as the community uses that space, they collect the data. And then, kung ano pa yung mga needs, future needs in the community, i-implement nila on their next projects until maging permanent change na yung interim na plan nila for the plaza. Allows for growth, facilitating new public spaces through an application process, allows communities to ask for plazas in their neighborhoods. So since nga nagkakaroon na ng social interaction in that space, it created bonds, partnership to other neighborhoods in the community. Stages of development. So this is one of the examples. So from this na dating parking lot sa Pearl Street, New York, underutilized daw siya for parking. So ginawa nilang activated with seating and planting. So all of these are all in the interim stages pa lang. So yung makikita niyong grass na yan, it's all fake. But as long as their data is supported by the data supports what the people needs, then magkakaroon dito of course ng unti-unting changes. So what is this green light? So yung green light for Midtown is an initiative to improve mobility and safety in the Midtown Manhattan. So magkakaroon ng walkability from Midtown Manhattan. So wala dito masasakyan. So lahat dito is a walkable space sa Times Square. Sa lahat ng parks na madadaanan dito. So, ito yung mga evaluation nung ginawa nila yung green light for Midtown. Green light project ba yan? Green light for Midtown. Yeah. So, 11% in create pedestrian volumes, 74% na nagsasabi na nag-improve daw yung Times Square, minus 40% in the smokes or pollution. 35% yung mga hindi na nai-injured due to accidents. Reduction of injuries to motorists and passengers amounts to 63%, and increase in bus ridership by 1.5%. Next plaza is the Levinson Plaza in the Boston, Massachusetts. So ang concept nito is urban growth. So it's a multicultural mixed income residential area, but they have since yung residential area is parang mga condo units for the people, yung mga open space na yun ay dinevelop nila into a plaza. So yung concept nila dito is the plaza, yung plaza na yun hosts different kinds of activities like chess, Chinese New Year, Tai Chi, Russian Unity Day. So it hosts recreational activities and large gatherings. So yung concept came from the plaza pattern stitches, the areas of gathering and passage together while bringing a human scale to this large plaza space. So kung makikita niyo dito sa design, so it was inspired rather by the pattern of stitches. So makikita niyo naman dito sa site development. So it's a 30,000 square foot plaza. So yun, Levinson Plaza. So some of these techniques can be employed in a public area on bridge to maintain the neighborhood scale and encourage various groups to participate in public life. So since ito nga is mostly residential and commercial structure, why not create a public space for them to interact? While a place is more heavily trafficked, this space emphasizes staying activities while allowing for clear circulation throughout. So, staying activities like chess, diba? So, pwede under the tree here, pwede ka mag-chess or hang out with friends. So, yun yung concept no Levinson Park. Another one is the Toby Torg. Toby, Sweden. So actually, this plaza is an answer to a housing stock. Ibig sabihin, the spaces around these plaza is housing. So wala silang space for gathering. So it's a need talaga. So they transformed the shopping mall parking lot. So from the parking lot dati, tinransform nila yon into a plaza square. So it became a centerpiece to new urban era. So, excuse me. So these plaza will have seating square, stage space, playground, market square, and light space. So, ang nagdala dito is lighting and night. Okay? So, meron din dito sa public plaza nila na pavilions na pwede kang magkaroon ng coffee shop and shops. So, ayan. Ito yung parang pavilion. Kung mapapansin nyo din sa SM, Kabanatuan, may mga ganito sa roof deck. Diba? Pansin nyo ba? Kung sino na yung mga nakapunta ng SM Camp. So, meron silang pavilion sa roof deck. So, parang ganun yung idea. So, it's a 10,000 square meter plaza. So, yeah. So, in Sweden, the Tabitorg acts as the stitch between the suburban residential community and the surrounding commercial environment. So, yung public space na to, it gives them the public life that they need. So, it openly gives more opportunity for engagement since open siya since very adjacent lang siya sa mga community around it. The use of exterior lighting keeps the scene activated at night. So even though nighttime, maliwanag pa rin sa lugar since meron sila dito mga floor lighting. So yun yung one of the factors, no? So hindi lang siya, hindi mo lang siya may-utilize in the daytime but also in the nighttime. So yun. So, and then people, papansin nyo ba, people get attracted to excuse me, to light. Diba kapag may nakita tayong maliwanag na lugar, doon tayo nagpupunta minsan or pag maganda yung lighting ng isang building, diba, we find it really attractive. So ganun din yung ginawa nilang concept sa Tabitorg. So it is designed to attract people even it is nighttime. Okay? So I think that's the last slide. Thank you for bearing with me. So do you have any questions so far? Have any questions so far? So mukhang namang wala akong question. For a second, iinom lang ako. Hi. So, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So, do you have any questions so far ba? Malinaw ba yung discussion? Nag-grasp ba? Nag-grasp ba yung full concept ng public plaza?
Yes po, sir.
Okay. So I guess medyo informed naman na kayo sa gagawin. So let me share my screen again. So this one will be excuse me, your guidelines for your major plate. Can anybody please help me to read the project titles to project site feature to the task? Can anyone volunteer? Si Chari, my favorite student. Can you please help me to read the project title to the task, please? Thank you.
Ano? Sir, yung ano po ba yung statement of the problem?
The project location to the task.
Project title, Public Plaza, Civic Square. Project location, the proposed project is located at Lawag City, Ilocos Norte. Statement of the problem, the local government of Lawag City has planned to develop a public plaza for their constituents. They wanted to encourage their locals, social and physical welfare and the visitor who would travel to their city. The proposed project is programmed to 4 events and activities that draws communities, people for social interaction. The public plaza will accommodate people who wants to stop and take a few minutes to refresh themselves. The said project will also serve a marketing features for local economic development like weekends and play markets, farmers markets, and bancheto. Yun po, sir. Pati po ba yung project features?
Yes.
Site features?
Yes, please, pakibasa yung site features. Wala siya. Anyone can help me read the next one, site features, and then the tasks?
Basahin ko na po.
Okay. Thank you,
Project
Marvin.
site feature. The property is relatively flat and has an irregular lot bounded by a 5-meter road on 2 sides and a 4-meter minor road at the front. The site faces the state capital of Northeast with its northwest side. The southwest portion is a road. As sign a public plaza based on the design brief and needed requirements to follow project deadlines and instructions.
Thank you. So basically, the location of your project is on Lawag City, Ilocos Norte. So your project will host different kinds of event like weekend flea markets, farmers market, and machet. So the main aim of this public plaza is to accommodate people who wants to stop and take minutes to refresh themselves, and also to draw the community's people for social interaction. So it is relatively flat and has an irregular lot bounded by a 5-meter road at 2 sides and a 4-meter minor road at the front. So mamaya makita natin itong site features, pero i-share ko na nga din. Wait lang. Share ko na yung site sa inyo. Okay. Here is the site. So nakita nyo naman, we have roads na nakapaligid sa site natin with 97.5 meters length and 44.0 meters width. So yung mga adjacent structures around it are the Capitol Stage, SM Market, Hall of Justice, Office of the City Mayor here, and the road. So dito papasok yung mga vehicles. Ito yung entrance ng parang pinaka-entrada. So your goal here is to design a public plaza that caters the needs of the people and the community. So yeah. So stop share tayo and then let me share again the requirements. So the drawing requirements, you will have to design, you will have to draw the design concept plus consideration plus listing all the factors, a thorough site analysis at any convenient scale, a plan on site 1:200, one site elevation, one site section 1:200, and one aerial perspective. So I will not be giving you the space requirements. You have to research it. So based on your design precedents, which will be based on your research work and design precedent, you list down all the spaces needed for the public plaza. So under that research work, you have to research and read about the design guidelines for designing a public plaza. So list down all the design considerations in designing plaza. So the maximum pages for this research work would be 1 to 2 pages in an A3 paper. So gather all the information from the design brief and study the vicinity of the space, of the place. Okay, get an example of a public plaza. Study its space planning, circulation, and reflect if it's possible on the given site. Your study will be presented at the end of the final term. Arrange it in a presentation board manner with graphics and diagrams. Make it appealing to the eye. So the submission will be on April 11 and 12 for this. And here's the link. And don't forget that your file name should have this format. So many of you guys have failed to follow this on your last midterm plate. Major plate 1.2 is the schematic design phase or the architectural spaces. The thorough site analysis would be a minimum of 2 pages. So since this is a public plaza, ordinary site analysis won't do. So I have given you different kinds of references that you can use in order for you to be guided. Okay. Am I audible? Am I audible? Am I back? Dito pa ba ako? So yeah, you have to make a research and try these different sites for your reference. So yeah, nagbigay na ako ng mga links that you can follow. Number 2 is the architectural programming. So programming, space programming about the theory of proxemics and principle of proximity. So this could be your adjacency matrix and your your space requirements listed on that. Bubble diagram, you know this. So translate your programming into an initial layout. Use the existing SDP and layer your bubble diagram on your site while making a bubble diagram. This makes it easy to explain and reflect your space orientation and location. So you have to reflect your SDP, your site, plus your bubble diagram. So it's a parang plan on site, pero ang version niya is naka bubble diagram. Concept sketches. So explain all the needed information for your design concept plus your design strategy. So So this could be what materials are you going to use in the public plaza? What type of design or forms are you inspired? Saan kayo na-inspired when you are designing the public plaza, and then present it in the board? The date of submission would be April 18 to 19, 18 and 19. For section A, 18. For section B, 19. So here's the link. And then the last one would be the design development phase and construction document phase. So you have to have a site development plan or plan on site. You may add another page if needed. So yun. Same lang. One detailed site section. Same from before. So ganun din. Site section and one elevation. So magkakaibang pages po siya. Okay? Maximize the pages. Perspective, page 4. So April 25 and 20 for section A and 26 for B. So guidelines in your defense or presentation. So there will be a group defense and presentation of work. So that means that you will be grouped into 4, or you will be grouped into 9 groups dahil 45 yata kayo. Teka lang, check ko lang. Pero alam ko 45 kayo. So group yourselves na lang, and then I will be providing you a link, Google Docs link, where you can put your name and put the name of your groups in that, so that I will be informed who will be the members of your group. So kayo na lang bahala mag-group sa sarili ninyo. Okay? Wait lang. Saan na ako? Design for students list 2B. Let me check kung ilan kayo. Alam mo kasi from the last time I checked, it's 45. So, okay. So, so 44 lang pala. 44 group, 44 members. So, may isa sa inyo na mag-grupo ng 8 members lang. Tama ba? So 44. Yun. So, meron sa inyong mag-group ng isang 8 members, and meron sa inyong mag-group ng puro 9 members. So, yun. So, there will be 4 groups consisting of 9 members and 1 group consisting of 8 members. Is that okay with you guys? Kasi 44 lang pala kayo. So, yun. So, group nyo na lang yung sarili nyo into 5 groups. Okay? So, group defense and presentation of work, I prefer, this will be your final exam. Yun na yung magiging final exam nyo for this sem. Compile your outputs from major plate 1.1 to 1.3, and you may provide a video presentation or video walkthrough of your project. This walkthrough is optional. So magbibigay na lang ako ng additional points kung sino yung makapag-present ng SketchUp walkthrough or Loom yun sa inyo. But this is optional. Again. So for your defense, use a PowerPoint presentation or similar software. The panelists will score you and ask you questions regarding your outputs. So your date of defense would be on May 2, and May 2 for section A and May 3 for section B. Okay, some notes in your major plate. submit it in one PDF format only. So it means naka-merge lahat ng drawings niya into one PDF only, okay? Use an A3 size paper, no borderline needed. And in landscape orientation, title block is on the lower right back of your paper. So this is the format. So some tips when you are presenting your work. So please read this. This is very important in order for you to improve your works and presentation, okay? So please read this. So credits to architect JC for giving her the tip, for giving us the tips. Okay? So this design brief will be sent on your G class after our class. Do you have any questions so far?
Sir, bali, groupings po itong major plate natin.
Yes, groupings siya. So magkakaroon tayo ng group defense. So, yeah. So, pagtulungan ninyo and ihati nyo kasi madami naman kayo eh. I think 8 people working on that kind of project is very parang madali na lang. Kayang-kaya nyo. Yes, it's by group.
May tanong po ako.
Yes, Carrie. What's your question?
Sir, paano po yun? May third year po ba kaming kaklase?
Really, I have no idea kung sino yung mga third year na kaklase ninyo or what. Basta I know from the list that you are 44 and yun lang yung nasa ko eh. Nasa data ko. Wala akong idea kung sino yung mga third year sa mga ka-eskwela ninyo. Yun. Sorry, I cannot answer your question. Hindi ko rin kasi kayo nakikita. Like right now, hindi rin.
Sir, yung list po, pwede po isend sa amin.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
Sige po, thank you po.
Okay, so I need the groupings till 5 p.m. Kaya ba? Magbibigay ako ng link right now. Okay? So if you have any no questions na, or if you have any parang biglang tanong sa inyong isip, you can message in the group chat so that I could answer it as fast as I could. So that's it for today. Thank you for listening and see you again when I see you. See you again on our defense. So good luck, everyone, and thank you. Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, sir.
Thank you po.
Bye po.
Thank you, sir.